Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar on delivering cost-effective traineeship programs for 16 to 24-year-olds as part of, obviously, not only your study programs for young people, but also as part of your adult skills budget provision for this next year. So what I'm going to try and do in this webinar is give you some of the sort of what I'd call contextual issues that make this such an important part of government policy, as was reflected in the Queen's speech and in the government's manifesto, but also to highlight some of the what I'd call the practical aspects of delivering a traineeship program that is effective from the point of view of meeting the needs of the learners, the employers, and obviously of the new inspection framework, as well as making sure it's also cost efficient in terms of the cost of the different activities that make up the components of a traineeship program. Now, we've been talking about traineeships now for well over 2 years. In the first instance, it was about preparing for the introduction of the first traineeships, and that, I think, went reasonably well, although there were some sort of quite difficult problems encountered in terms of engaging with employers. But now the expectation is this will become a significant part of your provision, whether you be an FE college, an independent learning provider, local authority, or a school. So we'll be looking at this from all those different perspectives, as I said, but please obviously ask questions as we go through. If you look at the background, you know, traineeships were introduced as part of what I'd call the sort of pre-apprenticeship programs and as part of study programs. And the expectation, of course, was from its very title that most of the students that undertook a traineeship would then progress to a job, and that job would also have training attached to it, preferably. Other outcomes are also possible, such as going into a more substantial FE type program, or obviously going on to some further training of some sort. So one thing we want to start off with is how important it is in the government's education and training policy. It's actually part and parcel of the remit of both the DFE, led by Nikki Morgan, and by the Business Innovation and Skills Department, led by Sajid Jayed, that traineeships are seen as a key plank in, first of all, engaging young learners in the age group 16 to 24 who might not have the sort of skills to make them job ready, and also engaging the employers that would take them on in terms of offering them some high quality work experience as part of the traineeship, at the same time as improving their other skills, their English, maths and their vocational skills. So it is seen as a key element in the government's policy, and therefore it will be one element which might continue or may continue. Other budgets are under scrutiny to be fully funded. Now, there were in the first year, 13-14, about 10,000 new starts, with about 2/3 of them going on to positive destinations. By the way, positive destinations are defined as an apprenticeship, work with further training, or obviously further learning of a substantial size. So it is seen as quite a significant option that we can offer to 16 to 24-year-olds who are currently without work, but who have the and therefore there are issues about job readiness, motivation and such like. And as you see, that's one of the key conditions that certainly from our evaluation of the first 2 years of traineeships has made for more successful traineeships. I think the key driver here is the effective partnership between you, the training provider, the employer, and obviously the trainee. And that partnership, therefore, should reflect some of those key elements of an effective partnership of mutual benefit, of understanding, and of being responsive to each other's needs. And therefore, you've got to see traineeships as really, although they are classroom-based, much more focused on the sort of delivering the elements that make the person job ready, you've got to see them as part of the sort of apprenticeship family, which is also partly about the matching process. At the moment, and this is seen as a little bit of a barrier to perhaps the growth of traineeships, at the moment only prime contractors or subcontractors who are delivering consistently well at grade 2 and above are actually able to offer traineeships and use the traineeship badging and branding.